Welcome back. This is Brandy M. Miller with Creating with Love, where we work to spread love, hope, and joy to every human heart through creative expression. Now, yesterday's video, we discussed outlining your story from start to finish, how to create a coherent outline that'll take your readers from where they are to where they want to be by the end of your book. And now, as promised, today we are going to work on the characters that need to go into this story to really flesh it out. And yes, this applies to nonfiction too. There are characters in a nonfiction book. We'll talk about that. Because life is full of characters. All right, so this is the outline we created. We've got our problem, our mistake, the truths we need to embrace in order to get to the solution, the obstacles we face in the way of implementing that solution, the answers that we came up with, the results this is going to create, and the transformation that will come from applying those results. Now it's time to get to the characters. So I'm going to title this up here with a H1 because it'll make it easier for me to flip back and forth between these two things. And now I'm going to come down here, see how it shows up on that side. All right, I'm going to insert a page break. Yep, there we go. And I'm going to add the next heading. And just as I did with the outline, I'm actually going to come in here and insert a table. Another 9-block table. Okay, talk about the main character. Now, the main character is the person who is facing this problem. So already we know we can eliminate a few candidates for that main character. This is how you niche down your novel, by focusing on who the problem affects most. So who is it that really wants to reclaim the world for Christ? These are people who are devoted Christians. They're the kind of people who don't just show up for church on Sunday and maybe have a couple of moments of coffee conversation about Christ every once in a while. These are people for whom Christ is already a part of their daily life. He is a true companion to them, somebody that they deeply care about Christ and Christ's mission to spread love to all the world. So this is who this story is going to appeal to. Anybody else, it's actually going to repel. And that's by design. When you niche down your novel to the people that it is most geared toward and targeted to, you are going to repel some people, but it's okay. Because what you're going to do is you're going to attract the people you most want to work with, the people you're most qualified to help and support in their journey, the people who are going to bring you the most joy and the most satisfaction working with. So now that we know that these are devoted Christians, the kind of people who spend a substantial amount of their time immersed in the world of the Lord, we are ready for the rest of the characters. All right, so the person that every character that comes after this is tied in some way to that outline. The person that forces the main character to finally confront the problem and take active steps to fixing it is known as the herald. This person is really important to the story, even if they only appear one time in it. they are the ones that ignite the fire in the heart of the hero and get them to confront the reality that if they don't take action, the dream that they hold, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, is going to die. Okay, so who is the herald for this devoted Christian? We're going to say it's war. And we'll put faces to these names in a minute. So right now, though, I'm really kind of focusing on giving a feel to what this is. So these are the, maybe not even more, but yeah, war is what brings it to his attention, or her attention. The sidekick is somebody she loves, somebody who embodies the dream that she holds in her heart. And I'm going to say she, because I'm a female, so I'm writing from the perspective of a female, and that makes it easier. I can write from the perspective of a male if I choose. But when you write from the perspective of the opposite gender, you always have the challenge of trying to put yourself in their shoes and be who you're not. It's easier if you stick to your own gender because you know what those life experiences are like. You really don't know what it's like for the other side. You can guess, and you can make a lot of guesses and come up kind of right. But you're always going to be left with gaps when you're trying to do that. So I'm going to write from my perspective, which is devoted Christians facing war. And maybe not even just war. Let's say we're facing nuclear. Yeah, nuclear war is being threatened. Sidekick is a young child. So maybe this is a beloved grandchild, as it is in my case, right? That's who she's fighting to protect and defend. That's what motivates her to get started on her journey. And the next character that comes up on the good side is the mentor character. And the mentor character is who this person is turning to for help and support. This person has likely been in their lives for a long time. They trust this person. They look to this person for guidance. Or it may be somebody they meet that they didn't expect to know. And this person sort of shepherds them along the journey. For instance, I am mentoring you in my writing process. You and I have never met before, most likely. But if you're watching this, you know, you're going to get the help and support. It was your desire to write the book that led you to encounter me. So the herald of your story was the desire you had to leave a lasting literary legacy or some other kind of legacy. So in this case, who is my mentor? Well, my particular mentor in this journey is Jesus Christ. Yeah, back that up. Actually, it's Mary, his mother. She's the one I turn to for guidance and how to know him better. So, I mean, but that's part of my Catholic faith and upbringing. And so this is going to more appeal to, let's change this up here. Christians, not all Christians have a devotion to Mary, the Mother of God, because not all Christians agree that she is. But that's part of the problem too. So it's devoted Catholics. That's who we're trying to appeal to. So that narrows our niche even further, which is fine. Now, this is the point where we switch gears a little bit. There's a negative shapeshifter. Now, the role of the negative shapeshifter is to sort of parrot back to the main character conventional wisdom on the matter, what the common person would say about the subject matter. And the negative shapeshifter, and this is something that the main character may secretly believe and have adopted as a mindset because it's how they were raised, because it's the society in which they were raised, and they've sort of embraced this idea, this problematic concept that's causing them to make the mistake. It's the negative shapeshifter that basically parrots back to them their own biases. That's the role. And forces them to confront the damage that this mistake they're making, this bias they hold, is causing them. So the negative shapeshifter, what is it that devoted Catholics believe about reclaiming the world for Christ, the problem, that isn't true? And I think the thing that most Catholics, devoted Catholics, believe is that they aren't powerful enough to do this. So who is going to embody that statement? They're only one person. That's the mentality. So let's say it's a good person with a good heart and good intentions. They're the person they trust but shouldn't. Maybe it's a parent. Or, fellow Catholic. We'll just put it that way. I'm just giving these 2 words right now to kind of frame who they are, and then I'll fill in the blanks. Positive shapeshifter. We're going to go with somebody that you normally wouldn't think would be, oh, no, I think somebody they would trust. Somebody they don't trust but should. That's who the positive shapeshifter is. And this person is unconventional and often ostracized by society because they don't follow the standard that society sets for everybody else. They are rebels, if you will. And so you have to think through, who is it that really in your own journey was somebody that you didn't listen to because they didn't follow society's norms, but you should have. And then when you did finally listen to them, they gave you great wisdom. Our positive shapeshifter. Our positive shapeshifter, who do we want that to be? Who is most likely to do this work? Good question, right? I'll skip it for now. All right. So sometimes it's easier if you look at, you need the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is the person, or entity rather, that holds the truth. They are the key to unlocking the truth and to getting to the solution, and are often seen in a negative light initially because they're kind of mystery. But once you get to know them, they're usually quite positive. Gatekeeper, and then we need our minion. And that's the person that people blame for the problem. It's the one that they say, oh, this is why we can't have nice things, so to speak. But really, the villain is here. The minion sort of acts as a distraction from the villain. They really keep the hero from addressing the real problem, which is the villain. The villain is the face of the real problem, and it's often a mirror to the hero, but with a twist. And this is how the hero's journey really helps people frame properly life's choices and decisions. Because the ultimate difference between a hero and a villain isn't their goals or their motivations. Both of them may share the same goal. Both of them may share the same motivation. It's who they're willing to sacrifice to achieve the goal that makes all the difference. A hero is willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good of humanity, the long-term survival of humanity. The villain is so invested in their own short-term survival that they see themselves as way too important to ever be sacrificed, but they're more than willing to sacrifice other people to get to what they want. You'll hear them all the time talk about the sacrifices other people need to make for the greater good. If you've ever watched the movie Shrek, Lord Farquaad is a perfect example of the villain's attitude. Some of you may die, but that is a price that I am willing to pay. Notice the you may die, I'm willing to pay that price. That's the exact opposite of the hero who says, I am willing to die so that you may live. So who is our villain? It's really selfishness. You have that, the villain is the self-centered, selfish desires that get in the way of being selfless, right? All the things that we need to do in order to be a self-giving person. And we have a tendency to blame other people. So non-believers, let's say. We point fingers at the people who don't believe because that's easier than accepting responsibility for where we are. Or we blame other people in our lives for what we're not accomplishing or not achieving because that's easier than owning our responsibility. And the truth is that while we may not have any control at all over what other people do, and in fact we don't, we have 100% control over what we choose to do in response to that. The gatekeeper not only holds the keys to them finding the solution, but is also the ultimate figure that's going to help us figure out that the minion is not the real problem. The villain is the real problem. So the gatekeeper here, let's call him a priest. He's a very devout priest. And maybe even this character has a conflict with that priest. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe they don't really trust this priest, or they don't understand the priest. And that's causing some of the problems, the conflict between the two. Positive shapeshifter. Let's say a spiritual director. Yeah. These are some of the figures. We've basically given them 2-word tags. Now I'm going to insert then we get back to my table. Actually need to recreate the table because I didn't give myself enough tabs or enough columns because I need names and the short description. So there we go. So I'll copy this information. Move into here. There we go. We'll delete this table now because we don't need it. let's say a devoted Catholic, and her name is Constance. And Finnegan. And she's, let's say she's late 20s, early 30s, 20s. And she's late 20s. She's got a solid career. I don't know what her career is yet. We haven't decided that, but that's what we're going with. Harold is nuclear war. Say, well, so who is she blaming? Who's the Harold? Nuclear war. So let's just go with what's going on. That's who she thinks is her real threat. It's not. He's just the Herald. And we'll say Constance has a granddaughter named Lucy Finnegan. So her son. And Lucy is 4 years old. And the mentor that Connie relies on is Mary, the Mother of God. We've already named her. So, and we'll see how that mentorship plays out in Connie's life there. Constance Connie Finnegan. Good solid Irish name. All right, the negative shapeshifter is a fellow Catholic that she's been friends with since, well, they graduated Catholic school together. And it's, or maybe they went to Bible school. I don't know. Fellow Catholic. Maybe it's somebody closer than that. Maybe it's a sister. Yeah, let's make it a sister. Good. Tess. Named after Saint Teresa. So she's an older sister. Her spiritual director that she attends but doesn't always, do what she's told. Gerald Kramer, and he's a deacon in his late 40s. All right. And the devout priest is Father Thomas McCabe. He's late 60s. And the non-believer in Connie's life that she's particularly blaming for all the troubles. Let's pick maybe it's her neighbor. Yeah, we'll just say it's a next door neighbor. We've already got an L name, so let's try to avoid using duplicate letters. Let's say she's a youngish woman. She's actually, we'll make her a pagan witch. So and Connie's biggest trouble is not really Angela at all, but her own selfish desires. And we got to put a face to those desires. What is it she's got going on in her life that she really shouldn't? That's serving as a distraction. And this is going to be the face of temptation. There we go. Always with women, men are temptation. Maybe it's her boss, yeah. Yeah, actually, her boss. We'll make that. Okay. We now have our characters mapped out. We know who they are, but we need their stories now. That means we've got some questions to ask ourselves. But this is enough for today. We've spent about 30 minutes mapping out these characters and figuring out what roles they're going to play. Tomorrow's video, we're going to come back in and we're really going to dive into their stories and how they intersect and kind of start mapping out the single page synopsis of our story. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you've taken something positive away from it, please feel free. Leave a comment, share your characters. If you're interested in participating in this, share the characters you created and how the roles that they're playing. It's my goal to help you make progress each and every day. This took us about 30 minutes to get done. So each stage will take a little bit longer than the last because you're doing a little more thinking through. But it really is possible to map out and write a book in 40 days or less. If you like this series, please feel free to hit the bell notification so you know when the next one's coming. If you like the channel, please feel free to hit subscribe, like the video if you enjoyed the content, leave a comment below, and if you know somebody who's struggling with their writing or who's trying to write, feel free to share. Thanks for watching and have a blessed day.